Hey everyone, today I'm here in Rikuzentakata, Japan with Mr. Kiuoshi Murakami. So, has a very distinguished background, used to be senior advisor in terms of the recovery effort here in Rikuzentakata, is now the CEO of the Rikuzentakata Agency, has worked for some of the biggest American banks based here in Tokyo, was a director for the United Nations in Geneva, and is now back here after disaster, helping out, regularly speaks at the Harvard Kennedy School, and is a very renowned speaker around all things with disaster recovery. So thank you so much for joining me.
Sure. Thank you very much, Andrew. This is a very, very honor to be together with you, and also a great opportunity for me to also speak out of my experience and also what happened, what's going to happen, and what's going on.
And certainly we're here this week for the 15-year anniversary of the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, and it's a pretty special time to be in Japan, particularly in Rikuzentakata for this. Interesting, as we drive around this local area, there's significant earthworks that have happened. The 5.5 metre seawall has been replaced with an 11.5 metre seawall. Where we're sitting now in the main centre of town has been elevated, lots of earthworks here. I really want to ask you, because back in Australia, this sort of level of scale has not been seen before, but is necessary given the tsunami risk here. But there's trade-offs, isn't there? When you have a big disaster and this sort of earthworks, there's trade-offs to lifestyle. The water is now harder to access because of the seawall. Can you take us through some of that local sentiment? What are people sort of feeling and seeing around those trade-offs with it's safer to have these walls here and the town lifted up, but it's changed the local dynamic?
Yeah, yes. I think it's been, 15 years ago, it was completely devastated here, in the whole city. At that time we had a population of 24,000, and then, however, the half of the populations were, refused by the tsunami, so they lost everything, and then also 1,800 people were actually lost their lives. So, the whole city was completely destroyed, and also they don't have anything left. So from that point, we really wanted to change that, the whole situation. Of course, because we do have a number of people lost their life, so it's a tremendously huge sadness, and also, we had, lost everything. We lost hopes, we lost everything. So, but, because of the number of people who supported us, not only domestic Japan, but also, international community like yourself in Australia, we did receive so much, the assistance from outside. So, that's the reason why we believe that it is great, the opportunity for us to recover, showing our, the willingness to rebuild whole city, and so that we can, the only way to, pay back to those people is that we recover and reconstruct whole things. So that is the first thing that we thought. The secondly, yes, we didn't have any place to live. We didn't have any place to get together. So that we really needed to have all those, the buildings need to be rebuilt. And then also, but at the same time, there are a number of people who are psychologically damaged. So those grief need to be also, maintain, recover too. So, so in a way, buildings and, or houses, all those, the hard side need to be rebuilt in the physical side. But at the same time, our mindset also need to be recovered. So, yes, I know we lost the whole city, but we regain and rebuild the whole cities, renew the whole cities by the concept of build back better. So we really wanted to have that. That we didn't want to go back to the old age. We really want to go to the future. So utilizing this it's not opportunities, but this strategy but we really take advantage of it to make it much better. So that is the people's understanding here.
Yeah. And it's been 15 years now since this disaster occurred. The recovery is still ongoing and going to go for a number of years yet.
Right.
How do you maintain that level of momentum? How do you keep things going? How do you keep the attention from government, private investment, people coming here to support these communities? How do you maintain that into the future, given it's been so long since the disaster already?
Yes, I think it is still a lot of people, never forget, those people who actually suffered from that time 15 years ago. They never forget about those people who lost their lives, friends, family members, friends, relatives. We do feel that, we need to do something for them too. So just relax, of course we really want to relax ourselves, but also same time, remembering all those people who lost their lives, we cannot just stop as it was. So we really need to make advantage, or we really need to proceed and also move forward, and so that's I think it's not been fully, if you're looking at here in the city in Rikuzentakata, there are a number of spaces available. And then there, of course, physically everything is completed. That is one thing I really appreciate for the people in Japan and on Japanese government. They really put the whole energies and also finance to rebuild whole city. That is a very appreciative thing for us. But at the same time, we really need to also still work on that, the economical development, industrial development. Still, we have a number of the space to proceed. So that is also we really believe that it needs to be done more and more and more in the future.
A lot of people come in, similar to you, have worked in private industry or some other career, and they find themselves in the middle of some sort of disaster or disaster recovery and lead that help. You've had the same experience. You've come in with a career in global finance and the United Nations for the UNHCR.
Right.
How did that experience translate, without having that disaster management experience, but how those skills translate directly into the recovery effort?
I think it was, I didn't have any background of disaster management at all, as you know. So, yes, as you said, my background was completely different. However, even though it's a different background, initiatives, leaderships is required. So, yes, this is completely, actually, this is a new thing for anybody, by the way. Even Japan, because we had a number of the disaster before, but this type of the large scale disaster was completely, the first time in Japan. So in this case, anybody is a first time. So the only thing you can do is that how you're going to utilize that, whatever you had in the background, what kind of experience you have. So I think it is for me, it may be very fortunate that I have the experiences in the international area, banking areas, so well as networking with those any type of private sectors, but also working for the United Nations. Actually had a number of the very strong network with the government, not only Japanese government, also the international communities. So thinking about those, the background, I could utilize all those networks, all those my skill set from the UN. That actually helps me a lot, actually, to connect with a number of the different peoples here, to the central government as well as the foreign governments, and then also taking initiative and leadership in also giving advices to the mayor at that time to take actions. I think that was that's the reason why it was very, very useful from my background and experiences. Actually helps me a lot to do this. Yes.
It's interesting. I often say that emergency management or disaster management is built on relationships and communication. I think what you said there about relationships is super critical and aligns to everything that we've sort of said before on this show. And it's so important to have that relationship with the local networks and the communities. So
Right.
How important is for people to come here and visit these areas? I mean, it's been 15 years now. We're commemorating that anniversary this week. But actually travelling to this area, people don't generally come here, at least from Australia. It's not a tourist destination, but there's plenty to do here. What would you say to those people who are thinking about a trip to Japan?
Sure. Well, since right after spending 10 years, actually 5 years ago, I started thinking about it is very important for the Rikuzentakata to welcome anybody from outside of Japan. So I end up with establishing the travel agency here. So that is the thing that I'm doing now, so that please feel free to contact me if anybody come to Japan or to Rikuzentakata. We organize the trips and individual trips or group trips to the Tohoku region. I know people know that Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, very famous areas, but not to this area, I guess. So I'll be happy to organize this, the special trip.
What are the highlights? I mean, there's lots of things. I can't read any of those things, but there's lots of things to do here.
That's right.
What are the top things to do in Tohoku?
Well, one thing is that you can, of course, you go to Niseko in Japan's winter time, but also here in Tohoku, they have a number of different ski resorts. So the snow is quite different from Hokkaido Island. So there's a nice one too. So that's one thing. And then also, summertime or maybe even the winter time here, you can enjoy the seafood here.
We did that this week.
Yes,
Delicious.
you did, right? So one of the seafood, actually, oyster here in the Rikuzentakata is #1 oyster in Tokyo market, quality-wise and the price-wise.
There you go.
Yes, so the most expensive one comes from here. So you can, if you like the oysters or seafood, this is a place.
There you go. This is the place to come, Rikuzentakata and the Tohoku region.
Right.
Speaking about disasters, and particularly in Australia, we're prone to big disasters, floods, storms, fires, and we have a tsunami risk, not as great as here, but certainly we have a tsunami risk.
Right.
I'm thinking for our listeners back home in Australia, what are some, let's say, the top 3 key lessons that you've learned from the recovery effort here that we could put into practice in Australia?
Well, I think it's a very important lessons learned that are not only Australia, but also any other countries can take from us. The one thing is that the one point is that whatever the disaster is, you really first things to do is that saving a life. Yeah, so I think that what is the takes that saving a life? There are a number of people really need to understand how to save the life. That's one thing. So I would say that is the very important from our lessons learned. Of course, those people who are rescuing it, they also risk their life too to make people's life saved. So, but there's a limit. So we really need to understand how we can limit, for this savers, life also. So that we didn't have that at the time. Particularly the civil servants, they devote themselves, as you know, Japanese devote themselves into their job, so that they actually devoted themselves into the job, so that they lost their lives.
Yeah, wow.
That is happened. So we really needed to have that some kind of guidelines. What is the limit for the lifesavers to make a limit?
Yeah.
That's one thing. The second thing is that also what we learn is that any time, any place, any town, or any cities, it is very important for them to have preparedness. For any type of disasters, any type of natural disasters. I think preparedness is so important, and how much that you actually learn and also aware what type of the preparedness is available for in each municipalities or in each towns. That is very important. And the thirdly is the recovery processes. We didn't have any recoveries processes. Well, we didn't think that this thing happens anyway. Now, anywhere in Japan, anywhere in the world, there's a number of the disaster happening. You don't know. You can name it. So I think it is very important for each individual municipalities or even the local government prepare what is as if disaster happens. What is their plan to renew the cities? What is the recovery process? What is the recovery plan? It is very important to each individual local governments to prepare and develop that kind of plan ahead of time. That is the lesson that I can tell to everybody.
Yeah, I mean that's very good lessons, and I think it resonates certainly with me, and I'm sure with our listeners and viewers on the show today, because that's there's a lot to learn from this area. And even just driving around here, seeing the giant seawalls, seeing the different initiatives that have been put into place, it's been very interesting. And we'll continue to come back here and help out as much as we can.
Yes,
so.
I'd be happy. Please come to Rikuzentakata to learn a lot of things, and of course I'd be happy to welcome all of the Australians to come over here. So
absolutely, it's great to be here. Great seafood, great people, and a great place to visit. So, Kiyoshi Murakami, thank you so much for joining us today on Me, Myself, and Disaster, and we look forward to seeing what happens here in the future.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.